Okay, so now we're going to do experiment 1. The gravitational motor drives a fan. And you're going to need lots of different pieces for this experiment, so it's best if you take them out first and then you'll just have them all ready to go. So first we're going to do image A, and we're going to start with a short frame, and we're going to stick 2 large frames into it. And then onto the 2 large frames, we're going to stick 2 anchor pins on each of the corners. Next, moving on to image B, we're going to take a long axle, and with the stop on the left side, put a small pulley wheel on it and put it through the 3rd hole of this large frame. So count 2 holes from the bottom, and then in the 3rd hole you're going to stick this long axle in. Make sure that this is the correct orientation, that it's not going into this large frame but into this one. Then here you're going to add a small pulley wheel and then another small pulley wheel, and then you're going to push it through the opposite hole in the other large frame, and then you're going to add a big gear. Okay, now you're going to want to separate these 2 pulley wheels out because you're going to want to put this white cord around it. And the way that you're going to do that is by tying one end to an axle lock. So just tie it however you can. And then you're going to stick this axle lock onto the axle in between the 2 pulley wheels. And on this end, you're going to tie it to a joint pin. So you can stick the cord through the joint pin and then just tie it in a little knot. So now we have image B. Then you're going to take a medium axle, and with the stop on the right side, you're going to add a washer and a small gear on the end right here until it hits the stop. Then you're going to push it through. You're going to leave 3 holes empty from where the long axle is. So 1, 2, 3 empty, and then push it through that 4th hole so that this small gear meshes with this large gear. And then in here, you're going to add a washer and a large gear. And then push it through the opposite hole on the other large frame. So it looks like this. Alright, so now we're basically on image C, and we're going to take another medium axle. With the stop on the bottom, we're going to stick it into a medium gear. Then we're going to add a washer. And we're also going to have a small gear and a washer. So now we're going to move on to image D. And in image D, we want to make sure that, so this small gear is meshing with this large gear. This big gear is actually to the right of these 2 spools, so they're not touching each other. So that when you turn this axle, or turn this gear right here, it's turning this, but this is not hitting these spools. So now you're going to take this medium axle, and again you're going to count 3 holes and then put it into the 4th hole so that there's 3 holes in between these 2 axles. And then here you're going to add a washer and a small axle. And then you're going to push it through the hole on the opposite side on the large frame. So you want this small gear meshing with this large gear. Alright, so now we're going to move on to image E. And in image E, you're going to take a long axle. With the stop on the right side, you're going to add a small gear on the end and a washer. And then you're going to stick this axle through the very top hole here. So we're actually going to have to move these anchor pins. They should actually be in the second hole to the end, not the corner holes, but we only have to move these ones. We don't have to move the other two. So we can put those here instead. And then let's put this long axle through both large frames. So in the images in the manual, you can see image E from the front, and you can also see image E from the side. So now let's move on to image F. And in image F, you're going to want to add 2 long rods. You're going to want to make sure that the side with the hole that's closer to the end is facing up, so not this side with the hole farther from the end. So this side, you're going to want to attach a long rod, and the same with the other long rod. And then you're going to take the connection bridge and you're going to stick it on the second hole from the end, like this, with the straight side facing this way and the kind of trapezoidal side facing that way. Then you're going to take a short frame and stick it onto these anchor pins right here, but you're not going to stick the corners on these two. You're going to match the frame that's underneath it. So you're going to have this side of this short frame match up with these large frames. So it looks like this. So now we are moving on to image G, and in image G, we're going to have to make the propeller. So first, cut the propeller pieces out of your die cut sheet. And cut these square holes out of the round pieces. And in order to make the propeller, you're going to need some glue and or some tape. So first you want to fold this around into a circle, and you're going to need some tape to tape these edges together. Then you're going to press the blades lightly along their center line. There's a little crease that they have, like this. And then you're going to push them into the slots of the hub from the outside so that the blade slots reach into the interior. You might want to open the little slits first. It's a little fidgety, but by being careful, you can definitely do it. And once you get them in here, you can fold the flaps down and glue them down, or tape them, whatever is easier for you. So there's one blade, and here's another blade. Alright, so now we have the 3 blades on, and we can put the circular disc into the hub cylinder. If you're having a hard time making it stay, you can always glue it in there. So now we have the propeller, and we're going to add a small pulley wheel to this long axle up here. So now we can move on to image H. And in image H, we're going to stick this propeller onto this long axle. And once it's on there, you can add an axle lock to just keep it in place. Then we're going to take a medium axle, and with the stop on the left side, we're going to put these 2 wheels onto it. And then with the stop on the bottom, stick it into this connection bridge. Okay, so now we're ready to use this device, and you're going to put it on the edge of a table and then pull the cord down so that the propeller turns just a little bit. And if there's too much torque, you might have to play with the gears. And then once the cord is hanging low, you're going to tie it to a plastic bottle filled with water. And just tie it however you can. And then you can hang it over the edge and make sure that you're holding on to the back side of the device so it doesn't fall off the table. And you can watch the propeller turn. And when the bottle is falling, the propeller should be turning like this.